I mean, last time we've seen the horse hasn't won since 2012. It runs with credit, but it just does not. It just does not win, and you could just see the same thing happening again. It ran right down the field in last year's Hennessy, and you just struggle to see the horse getting involved this year.
He's had the same preparation, hasn't he? Same race at Ascot. I wouldn't be amazed to see him place. I mean, I know he's shown no improvement over the past 2 years, and he is a stayer, and the Coral Welsh National would appear to be a better target for him. But if they reapply the visor, which they might, I thought it might make him half interesting if you're looking for an each way, which I wouldn't be. But
down a couple of pounds from last year. Still wouldn't be interested?
No.
So as outsiders go, Mary King, you putting a red line through that?
Absolutely.
You putting a red line through?
Not really. No, you could sneak a place.
Okay. Adrian's Approach is quite interesting. I don't know if you think it is. Nicky Henderson charged. Nicky Henderson won it last year. Is it interesting or not?
I backed him to win the Bet365 Gold Cup, and he finally got it all together. He's always sort of like a classy animal. He's had jumping problems. You never quite known, but he showed what he could do there. The issue is now that he's £7 higher, I think, and that takes him into again one of those. He's going to need a career best performance. I wasn't sure that. He's fairly high mileage. He needs a massive effort, and he wouldn't be for me.
Unseated in this race last year.
Yeah, I think on his last run, which was obviously over further, he probably would look well handicapped, but I've been with this horse since the beginning of his career. Actually, he beat the Jewish nephew round Ascot a couple of years ago, but then came out and fell against Harry Topper at Newbury, and that's been the problem with the horse. If he doesn't fall, he never looked like fall in the early part of his career. He slivered on land and then, but he always makes a mistake. He's got. I think the horse on his. If he could just get around and put it all together, the horse would have a little class.
Well, he had his day, didn't he? Like Sandown last year. He won't want the mud either. He won't really want the mud. If it comes up muddy, he won't suit him.
No, and again,
I don't think Nicky Henderson will actually run him if that's the case. Now, there's a couple of horses actually that have been sort of schooled over fences. Adrian's Approach and my mind's gone blank, but Sherwood's horse.
In this?
No, in this race, Many Clouds. All went to a guy called Yogi Bresner, who is a Swedish trainer going over fences. So it's quite interesting. They obviously take horses that don't think are jumping too well and then send them to someone else to get them schooled well over the bigger fences. It's quite interesting.
I'm sure he does very well with what he does, but you tend to hear about it when he has a successful horse and it's he's been to Yogi Bresner. You don't maybe hear about the ones that don't work so well. So.
No, that's true. Never thought of it like that.
Right, okay. Well, anyway.
No offence to Yogi.
No. He's probably watching it as we speak. One I'm very interested in at a big price. One's extremely well fresh. I watched the Cheltenham race when it won, Ballinagore, and that Quick and Clear. You're not on for that one, Billy, or do you like that
well,
one?
he's always been all or nothing, hasn't he? He's famously been difficult to train, had healthy shoes.
You put your hand to your head there and say, oh no, Pete, it's one of that I like.
To be fair, he did string 3 good runs together in last spring, didn't he? He had 3 good races at Cheltenham, Punchestown, and I forget where else.
But it was always after the comeback that he won.
But he's £15 higher now than when he won the Burn Group Plate, was it, at Cheltenham? Yeah. He's £15 higher, wow. If he comes out and wins this, well done, David Pipe.
Yeah, but I put £1.50 on and still look great.
I completely.
I like as an outsider. I think this has got a good chance.
I think last time it's run, I know it reads second. It's 5.5 lengths behind Size in Europe. The Size in Europe came out and gave £4 to Road to Riches, who bolted up. Against Rocky,
I think the step up in trip's quite interesting as well.
I think he's definitely still well handicapped. I think of a mark of 155, that performance you're talking about at Cheltenham, I actually rated 169 at the time. I think he's okay. I mean, Colour Squadron, we keep on mentioning this horse. He beat him 8 lengths, but on that day, I mean, who was in John Spirit was in that race as well. Who's obviously just got touched off in this year's Paddy Power Gold Cup. I see the angle. I just don't like the fact of the horse had 11 starts. I think he looks exposed for a race like this.
Okay, one that you may fancy, especially if they reapply some headgear, is Anacotti.
Yes.
And that's one of the outsiders that you like.
Yeah, I like Anacotti, and to be honest, I don't really see this as an outsider. Horse has had 9 starts, of which he's been placed on 5 occasions.
Let's make sure you pronounce the horse right. And we'll do
Anacotti.
Anacotti. Now we're doing it right because I know the person who's who made a reference to our Holywell, and Holywell will be very curious to see what you have to say about Anacotti.
Yeah, last time we seen the horse was over two and a half miles on soft ground at Kempton. It was a lot of money for it. It was backed off the boards that day and jumped out to the left at every single fence. In the end, was beaten by Fear to Guide and Fox Appeal. Now, Fear to Guide was third in this race last year off level weights for a 5-length beaten. If you take into consideration how many times it was jumping out to the left, the ground over a trip that was too sharp, I thought it ran really well. And with last year's form, would put it bang there. I like its form when it led from the start up at Cheltenham behind Indian Castle. I know Indian Castle, people might look at that and say the form has been let down. I can't believe that ran its race in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. But that form's okay though. I had Anacotti performing to a mark of 161 that day, running off a mark of 146. It's not an easy thing to do in a Hennessy, is to lead from the front, because it's quite, the tempo of the race. But on bad ground, I could see Anacotti. What it does is jumps really well going left-handed. I could see this horse getting a few of them into trouble, and it stays longer than the mother-in-law, and really, really sweet from an each-way point.
Does it stay longer than your mother-in-law?
No, I think Matt needs a new calculator with his 161. But no, he bossed Smallfield in the Feltham last Christmas, and he does well in small fields. He excels.
Okay.
He might get out in front, and he might travel well for a long way. I don't see him bossing this field.
I didn't want to bring this out, but I'll take you back. Last November at Kempton, Anacotti beat Present View. Present View gave Present View £5 for a 5-length beating on that day. Off the ground was 11 lengths back in first. Off the ground's been out and won 3 times since. Present View has now got, that was running off 118. Present View's got a mark of 158 now.
It makes no difference if he doesn't enjoy the test, if he doesn't enjoy the big field, it'll make no difference.
Well, no, I was just.
Your van's going to be full of Anacotti's cash.
Yeah,
yeah. I've got to look at the right book on the video.
The reason I brought that up is because you were questioning the mark, and that's when you look back at form. I mean, to suggest that Present View got beat off a mark of 118 by 5 lengths by this horse, and is now running off marks of finishing.
Okay, we've heard your argument before. That's hear Billy's argument again. You just feel in a big field.
Well, I mean, I do take Matt's point, and Matt does study the form very well, and he handicaps things. I just take a view that, more importantly, the horse has got to. Whoever wins this is going to go out and enjoy themselves, and I just don't see this as Anacotti style race. And if that's the case, then none of the figures matter.
Okay. In what way do you think that?
It's in what way? I think
that he likes to get out in front. He likes to dictate
in a small field. Yeah, absolutely. He won't enjoy this, I don't think.
Okay.
If you're right, it's going to be a great YouTube video. So.
Absolutely. Witchwood's Brook. I mean, the news, obviously, a bit more rain. Is that an outsider that could be a potential? You like this one?
I do like this one, yeah. I do like this one. Evan Williams knows how to sort of handle a sort of decent chaser like this. I thought when he won the Peter Marsh, he ground it out off 9 stone something. He was he was out the weights, and he ground it out. But he showed stamina, guts, and I just thought, he's got other days ahead of him. It fell apart a little bit afterwards. He's only £4 higher now. He's and I just thought he's had a prep run over hurdles, and I like that kind of preparation. I just like, you don't want to see him slogging around the mud. You don't want a rocky creek going to Ireland. You want a horse that's been scooting around a novice hurdle track, and then he comes here for the big day. And I think Witchwood's Book of the outsiders is very credible.
I think the race as well. I agree. I do think it would have to rain a lot. I think the softer the ground, the better. In fact, I think if it come up heavy, I'd be right with you. But I'm not sure soft ground would be enough. It wouldn't be for me, but I see the angle at the price.
It's rated higher over fences than it was over hurdles. Via Sundown is another one, and I was looking through the quotes of this, and it's quite interesting that Gary Moore, or certainly people associated with the horse, keep mentioning the Hennessy last year. So to me, it was always a target. Another horse with a prep run. Where do we stand with this one?
Yeah, this horse won at Fontwell. Again, it advertises Fontwell as a good track for form, really. Benalavo was in that race today in that day that it beat. And when you actually go through all that collateral form, it meets a few of these horses, and you look at it and you think, God, that's got a chance off the weights. But what off-put me is when I watched the visual impression, I'm not convinced the horse is fully going to appreciate a race like this. I think it takes a lot of stoking up. But it's interesting, not enough interest for me to get involved with.
I agree. I think I was at Fontwell that day. I backed him that day, and it was a little bit crikey. And I love Gary Moore. I go to Fontwell and Plumpton, and it's nice that he has these decent horses, and I know he's keen on the horse. But again, this isn't a little sort of small field race around Fontwell. This is a big ask, and I didn't think he wouldn't be on my shortlist.
Okay, Black Thunder, would that be on a list? I mean, behind What a Warrior. Trio de Lane is another one. Obviously, win a large.
How many rivals he's beaten in 3 chase starts?
Say that again.
Do you know how many rivals he's beaten across 3 chase starts?
Which one? Trio de Lane.
No, Black Thunder.
Go ahead.
7.
Right.
So, again, is this his race?
Okay, so in terms of outsiders, people looking for value, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Which of these other outsiders that we've not mentioned would you like to give a mention to?
I think you the last year's winner. Why that's the price it is, I know at the back end of the season didn't work out. I can't actually. I can see. If it was soft ground maybe, but
pulled
on
up in the
form
national. I followed it all
year,
season after the win last year, and I just think it was I think the horse may have had a breathing up during.
If you look at the weight of when they met against Rocky Creek. And you bear in mind that the mistake it made at the last and the momentum it may have lost, which I evaluated to be about 2 1/4 lengths, and at the weight, they come out roughly the same horse, and you've got Rocky Creek's around 10 to 1, and he's 25 to 1. I just don't get that. I think
he had 2 huge tasks, didn't he, after the win, but this isn't a race that tends to be followed up. And
I agree.
Unless you're Denman.
So if I'd mention one more that we haven't mentioned, Houblon des Aubes for Venetia Williams. He ran some massive races in defeat last year. He's got to run a more massive race to win this, but I bet he'll outrun his odds. He'll outrun 33 to 1.
Okay. Anything else? Midnight Prayer? Did the Midnight Prayer to actually win it, or one first time out last year? You've got Le Rev. Monbeg Dude.
Not many 9-year-olds. It just doesn't fall under the.
Okay, so we've now covered practically every horse in the market. At the top end of the market, I want to give us 2 selections for the Hennessy. So I'll start with of the main sort of top 10 in the market. Which one would you be backing?
Smad Place.
Mad Place.
Well, listen, I'm backing 2. That's the Druid's Nephew and Witchwood Brook.